Hey girl reporters, welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on Teen Mom Family Reunion. All I have to say about this episode, I don't have many notes, but my major thing is, wow, Briana needs serious help. I really don't like the way she carries herself, especially on television. Real quick before we get into it, don't forget I do watch this show and many other reality shows using Philo. I have an affiliate link in the description box of this video that you can use to sign up for a free 7-day trial. It's like the Netflix of reality TV. There's MTV, TLC, OWN, Lifetime, etc. Over 70 different channels. Okay. So yeah, last week we left off with her meeting this guy at the club, and then she brings him back to the home. They're swimming, and then in front of everyone, she just asks a lot of really vulgar questions about his intimate preferences. And one of them being if he likes to eat butt. And they go back to the bedroom, and she just makes this whole scene of it in front of everybody. It's just so degrading to herself and to the man. And so she goes to her bedroom with him. They don't even shower after being in that pool water. And then they get to it. And just the whole time they're showing this, I'm just thinking of her asking him that question and how dirty they are right now. Oh, my eyes could water just thinking about that. Ugh. So anyway, this is the next morning, right? This episode, and the whole house is gossiping about Brie's moaning during her escapade. And again, it's so humiliating, but Brie is not smart enough, or she doesn't have enough shame to actually realize how bad it is that all of this is airing on television, and on streaming services internationally in perpetuity for herself and her family, and most importantly, her daughters to look on. It's really bad, honestly. So she finally takes a shower, and then she held a press conference for the rest of the gang afterwards, and then texted her mom about the one night stand. And her mom wasn't impressed, but she wasn't as bold, my mom would have she would have called me. She wouldn't just leave a little message oh, why would you do that? She would call me. She would curse me out. It would be bad. Not really curse. She doesn't swear, but she would be what the F are you? She would show that she's upset. And then Kaya, I gotta say, she just seems too young around this group. She feels too emotionally unregulated. She's always having these tantrums over nothing. So her phone's not working. And so, of course, she has a tantrum about it. And I don't find it entertaining. I'm kind of put her with the people in her age range and leave the grown folks alone sort of a thing. Ty was really nice about giving her his phone. And then she talks about wanting to hook her up with a counselor to manage her anxiety. And now in recapping this for you, I'm kind of wondering, was this all a setup to kind of introduce the storyline for her? Because up until now, she didn't really have all that much going on. So you guys, let me know in the comment section if you felt as though or feel as though it was kind of a setup for her anxiety storyline. So basically, after the call, she goes into her therapy session with Dr. Mike, and she says that she spirals so hard when she's not able to get in contact with her mom, or whenever anything arises with her mom, because her mom is her only parent left. Her father has unfortunately passed away, and she feels a certain level of guilt for it because she was supposed to spend his last day with him, but then she didn't want to go to the ball game, and then instead he took some rugs, and it was fentanyl, and he OD'd and passed on. And now when she's explaining it, I'm oh, that is really sad. I do feel bad for kind of being irritated by her moodiness, but I think that my opinion still stands in that she's a little too young for this group, and it really shows. And I prefer her with the young and pregnant girls more so than this older group of peeps. So Dr. Mike then tells her to practice self-love to help ground herself and everything like that. And to be honest, I wasn't paying too much attention to this session because, again, I like Kaya. I really do. I think she's fabulous. I think she's a cutie. I think she's fashionable and stuff. But I'm not really loving her on this season of Teen Mom Family Reunion, though I will say that I did like her in last season of it. Now, back to Briana. Her post-nut clarity leads her to a therapy session to unpack her romantic issues. She says that no man has truly ever been there for her, truly loved her, even her baby daddies. And I'm then girl, why do you have 2 baby daddies for? It's kind of when Kail talks about how she's never been on a date before Elijah. Then how the hell did you rack up 4 kids before this man if you've never been on a date and a marriage too? Are you okay? Are these girls okay? Self-esteem in the gutter. Are you kidding me? A man should be pursuing you, treating you like you were a goddess, taking you on beautiful dates. How are people not only settling for men who don't, but also going ahead and having babies for men who don't and marrying men who don't? what is this, girls? Like, Jesus Christ. I'm just shook. I really, truly am. Anyway, Kayla and her baby daddy, speaking of men who are not worthy of you and who do not do a thing for you but cheat on you, she and her new baby daddy Ryan go on a romantic date at the beach, on the beach, and like they're just having this will we or won't we keep the baby conversation. And it was just so jarring to me given the setting and everything like that. I thought it was going to be just a nice romantic date, but here they are still debating whether or not they want to keep this baby that she is pregnant with. And he was just exposed for cheating on her like a week ago or a couple of days ago or something like that. Like, again, what is with the choices that these women are making for their lives? Like, this should be your like, oh, you know what? Like, you cheat on me and you don't even know if you want to have a baby with me. Like, I'm out of here, you know, like, girl, you know. And how are you finding yourself in the same position for the third time with a new third man in the span of like just a couple of years? Like, what is happening? Like, these girls are unwell. They truly are. And it's actually really alarming. Then after this, the gang throws a Y2K themed Sweet 16 party because a lot of these people can have a Sweet 16 because they were pregnant. And everyone attends the party except for Caitlyn and Tyler. They keep on missing parties, y'all. Like, they're a really, really boring couple at this point, like for television purposes anyway. Like, they're just lying in bed watching like Netflix or something. And then Briana couldn't come. I think she was still hungover or something, or maybe she was like feeling just like embarrassed about like that night she had with that hot guy. And then, you know, like all of them start talking about how they never had a Sweet 16. And then Cheyenne, I was like, Cheyenne, how's it possible? You weren't pregnant at 16. You're rich. Like, I know you had something. And so she's like, you know, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, but my parents flew me and my friends to Hawaii for my Sweet 16. And I was like, oh, that's that rich bitch. I love that for her. I love to see people who grow up in families that were financially and emotionally and mentally ready to have kids. I feel like a lot of times people like hate on people for growing up with like families of means. And it's kind of like, well, that's how it's supposed to be. Like, you're supposed to be prepared to have a child. It's not like you win a gold medal or you're somehow a better, you know, parent or whatever if you raise your child in poverty or something. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's great that there are kids like this who are raised in families with money where they do not have to grow up with poverty trauma, you know, that you see in all these, you know, in a lot of these other people on this show or anything like that. I think it's wonderful. And I'm happy for Cheyenne that she got to experience that. Kayla then paused the party to make some sort of an abortion reveal announcement. And I'm like, oh my God, I've truly seen it all. Wow. So basically she's like, yeah, like we decided we're going to keep the baby. We're not aborting. And they're like, oh, amazing. Y2K. I really felt as though I was in the Twilight Zone at this point. Like, sometimes like just the things that these people do, think, and say, and like just like the scenarios they find themselves in make me feel like I'm like a 65-year-old conservative grandma or something, when I know I'm like a rather, you know, I think I'm a, you know, relatively speaking, I'm rather liberal, but sometimes these things just have me shaking my head, to be honest with you guys. Like, oh Lord. And by the way, after this announcement, Taylor tells us in her confessional that she doesn't really trust Ryan to stay committed to Kayla. And I'm like, listen, girl, you would know better than anybody, right? Given that you're with a man who will not fully commit to you in the way that you want, and you're about to pass 7 years with that man. And I think, you know, as of right now, she's hit 7 years with that man. So I would definitely take her words to heart. But imagine if Kayla and Ryan wound up engaged before Taylor and Corey. Now, that would be funny. Not that I think it would last, but I think it would just be funny. Now, I got to say, though, like at the end, we see Caitlyn and Tyler do some sort of a recommitment for their relationship. Like, he wants to do another one. And then they like flash back to how he did a recommitment to her in Hawaii 6 years ago. And I'm like, you know what? Like, their relationship seems so happy and solid now after all these years. And they started super duper young. So I'm really, really happy to see that for them. And, you know, he gave her a bracelet as a sign of his recommitment as well. And I love that for them. I really, really do. Because when you look at these other relationships, what do you have? Cheyenne and Zach, who does not work, who doesn't really take care of the kids. So it's kind of like a useless husband to have. And then you've got Jade and Sean, and that relationship is just a train wreck. Like, it's just been toxic from day one. Hasn't she called the cops on that guy like twice? Didn't she find a condom in the kitchen garbage mess? Then there's Taylor and Corey. Corey refuses to fully commit to Taylor. He wants to have fun with her. Meanwhile, she's doing the bulk of the parenting. So, like, of course, she's not as fun as he is, as like, you know, an essentially child-free man. And then what else do we have? Mackenzie and her emergency Black boyfriend, like she got with that guy after her racist, what was it, scandal, like nothing to be jealous of there, although he seems like a nice, easygoing person. Like it's just a lot of mess. So it is nice to see that Caitlyn and Tyler, after all these years, what's it been, like 15 years together, are, or maybe even more, 18 years, like are still happy, are still in love, and still really do enjoy their quality time. So kudos to them. Anyway, you guys, that does it. A recap of what went down on this episode of Teen Mom Family Reunion. Let me know what you thought about the episode. And don't forget, I do have a link if you too would like to use Philo to watch the show and many other reality shows like it, including Love After Lockup, which I do need to catch up on. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.